Welcome to You Won't Hate It, where we look at life through the lens of pastors at the length of a cigar. I'm Josh.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Floyd.
I'm Joe.
Heard a story recently. There's some new updates with the with Noahs Ark on Mount Ararat, and it came across my feed that they had done some new scans. I'm not going to do this justice. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to do this justice because I watched it last night, or listened to a 30-minute thing last night. In my defense, I was playing a video game while I was listening to it.
Okay.
So some of the details are going to be hazy.
Borderlands.
But absolutely Borderlands 3. 4 is coming out, so I'm pretty stoked. So they do some scans, whatever they used, and the scientist that did the scans said that the measurements from their scans matched the biblical measurements perfectly.
Weirdly, their new scanning technology
Cubit.
also measures in cubits.
Yeah, they do. So they measure a cubit. Do you know how big a cubit is? How big is one cubit?
I forgot.
I also forgot.
12 feet.
It was a few feet, wasn't it?
It's feet.
It's feet.
It's multiple feet.
Or we would say feet.
Is it 12 feet?
No.
Or a meter? Wouldn't it be meters?
I don't think it's 12 feet.
I thought you were looking it up on the computer.
No.
No? Okay, I'll look it up.
Sorry.
Are you going to do it, or am I going to do it? Now, because I'm just
Doesn't
curious.
it measure Goliath's height in cubits?
It's about 1.5 feet.
Oh, it's way smaller.
18 inches. Natural cubit.
It's less than and I thought it was bigger than a meter.
Let me look up
biblical cubit.
Yeah, because that'd probably
The biblical cubit. I mean, it's weird that that'd be different.
Remember him?
It says 457 millimeters, about 18 inches.
Okay, good to know.
Some ancient cultures, it was as long as 21 inches. So, yeah.
All right, you get a rough idea.
Less than 2 feet.
Not a lot of
their scans actually take into account the idea of that flex.
There's actually an image that shows an example like that.
Right. So from the tip of your middle finger to your elbow. I was going to say almost all ancient world, but it was different. They used this length was how they measured things.
All right,
which I thought was hilarious.
Which makes sense because you're not walking around with a tape.
All right, we call it a foot. Do we use a feet?
Let's figure out who knows the Bible well. What are the dimensions of the ark in cubits?
Wait, did you say figure out who knows the Bible well or who has no life that they're memorizing?
Hey, some of us are strong Christians who have these details memorized. Okay.
Okay. It's 432
Some of us
cubits.
love what dimension is that? Long. So
long.
we've got length, width, and height.
It's 432 long.
432 long.
218 wide.
Okay.
And 36 high.
You think it's? Hold on. I'm not making fun of the dimensions.
36?
It's funny that it's
402.
It's half again as wide as it's long. That is such a weird dimension to choose.
It's a rectangle.
But imagine, it's only funny.
It's still got the balance.
But think about like a sea container is only like a quarter of its length, probably less than that.
Right.
This is
just a big fat.
So it's carrying a lot.
When people saw the ark, they're like, that thing's thick.
Yeah.
That's thick. That's the first measurement of thick.
It didn't have to dock.
It's true.
It's also
okay. 432.
I see more of it as a barge, honestly, than as like a sailing vessel.
It is. So
a barge.
So 432, 200-ish.
I said 218 wide
218.
and 36 tall.
36 tall. What do you got?
36 tall seems short.
Sounds
Probably
good.
too short.
Okay.
Sounds right.
I thought it was like 100. I remember 400 something.
You should have been looking it up while we were discussing it and just nailed it perfectly. I do. No, I'm just saying. I'm saying you should have. You should have cheated.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Stupid.
Well, not as stupid as you getting it so freaking wrong.
Yeah, very wrong.
The audience is like, these guys aren't even
Also not as
pastors.
stupid as you not lighting your cigar yet, but you do it wrong.
I mean,
It is 300 cubits long.
cubits.
50
Is it 300?
cubits. Yeah, 300 long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high.
Okay.
So it is 450-ish feet.
By 75.
That's pretty big. That's pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
What are the dimensions of a football field?
They're 100 yards.
So 300 feet.
I don't think it's 30 yards wide. I could be wrong about that, but I think it's 30.
It's bigger than a football field. I don't know why that is weird to think about, dude. A football field floating down the...
And multiple stories within, right?
Uh-huh.
Longer than a football field. This football field's wider.
Yeah, because football field.
Oh,
30 yards.
If
30
it's
yards, about
90,
90.
and this is
Yeah.
going to be
So it's a little bit wider.
I think it's 30.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Hey Siri, how wide is a football field?
Interesting. So, yeah, 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. That's a big boat. Do you struggle at all
360 feet by 160.
with the concept? What?
360 feet by 160 feet. Football fields are very wide.
They're very wide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the assumption of his first arc.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. Okay. Do you guys believe in the literal story of the flood and Noah's Ark? This is a fun,
Yes.
I do.
totally literal. Everything that it says in the Bible is the reality of what happened.
I would say great book.
The Bible, great book.
stars?
Too long, didn't read.
That's the
Too,
name of the book. Too long.
too long, didn't read. Let me give you the cliff notes of the flood.
According to this one book, which I read a long time ago, was about missionaries who discover tribes of people who've never encountered civilization.
Yep.
The one thing that was unified in every single tribe was that it's books called Eternity in Their Hearts. Everyone had a flood story.
Yeah.
Every single one. I've already believed the Bible.
Yeah.
That kind of validating evidence. I'm like, yeah.
The majority of civilizations. Now, do you believe that Noah and his family were truly the only humans that survived? Or was the flood more localized than actually worldwide?
okay.
These are
You're
theories.
saying, right.
that
So you're
are
saying like
amongst Christians.
they're the
These
ones
are-
that got on the boat, but were
Yes.
there other ones who made it to the top of a mountain?
Right.
and it was,
well,
Were there
there's
other
between
Noahs?
a local
Were there other
flood.
boats?
Oh, I've never heard the other
Oh.
boats idea.
That's actually pretty good.
Oh, why not? I heard that it was
it in the brain.
yeah, it was localized.
The raft.
The flood was more localized and it destroyed that area, whereas other parts of the world actually saw effects, but it didn't flood the whole. Like not everybody died in that area. God was wiping out those people.
Those people. What do you guys
So-
think? I obviously have an opinion, but what do you guys think?
What do you guys
Any
think?
thoughts on that?
I have a hard time, honestly, reconciling it. Like every culture around the world having that, it's called, what is the Young Dryas?
Uh-huh.
The Great
Which
Flooding.
does line up oddly
lines
well
up with the time period. The several millennia back, but then I want to go to like, well, what are the elevations at? And
Yeah. Is it odd that everyone has the story? That the reason that's odd to me is because I'm like, don't you need survivors to write that down versus just the one centralized family? But then
Right.
I go,
then how would it spread all over?
but if that centralized family carried that tradition all over the globe, and they have done the math of what it would take to populate the world from when the Bible gives the account of the flood, and we could get here to 8 billion super easily, by the way, or 3 billion. Sorry,
Right.
no 8 billion. We're at
8 billion.
and it's not hard when you exponentially grow out of 4 families. You could get here no problem. They said, which I was.
If you just watch the matriculation of growth of families from Idiocracy, you can see how fast it goes. So,
Which is a documentary
That's
that is
very
worth watching, by the way, if you're going to study.
I think
ancient
it'd be
times.
weird to be like, I believe that there was, like, if you kind of start breaking it down, you're like, oh yeah, I think there was a flood and there was a boat. But then I'm not going to believe the rest of the actual scripture that says in Genesis 9:11,
Interesting.
I'll never flood the earth again, and I won't cut off all life from the earth. Like, it's just mean to be like, I'm going to pick and choose. I'm like, well, is it? So are you saying it was an allegory, not you? You're an allegory, but the boat part is real, but not all the earth part is real.
Yeah, not the rest of the details.
Not the rest. That's what, like, that's what I mean. Like, that's a weird thing to parse. Like,
Yeah.
you'd be like that. So I'd be like, no, I'm either believing all this or not. So
Don't you think we do that in scripture, though, regardless of
I don't
that
think
we
people
parse through?
the one that most allegorical is we often we like would be Jonah,
Job.
Job, the garden,
Uh-huh.
and the flood. And people
Yeah.
say these are allegories.
Yeah.
I don't really hear a lot of people trying to say, well, half. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's half of this is real. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so I haven't really seen people do that because I think that seems I obviously don't believe they're
Oh, so you're
allegories.
thinking it's either all or nothing.
Right,
Like
you know,
this
weird
whole
allegory.
story.
But, well, it's
Okay.
kind of an allegory, but some of it's real.
I would, if I were doing this, which I'm not, I take much more of a literal stance. But I have always been like, the way that we pass down stories, I don't think that it's like every single tiny little detail has to be exact, because I'm like, this is an oral tradition for years. And so I don't have a problem being like, yeah, it was, let's say, and again, I'm not doing this, but to say, when they said it was a global destruction, that global in their world, in the same that we would exaggerate a little and say, oh, the whole world was covered in smoke. Like when the fires were here, it's like everything is covered in smoke. And you're like, well, you're not meaning it's everything in your world. In your world. So,
and I know you're not doing that. I'm going to keep clarifying this. Be like, I think for me, if I were a person, like I'm a Bible believer, but I think a couple things are allegories.
Yeah.
I think it'd be hard because the part they would be saying that is misunderstood would be the actual words of God in his covenant to Noah. So I'm like, so God doesn't know what the earth is? Or we're saying like God is saying to their understanding of the earth, except for he uses the word earth.
Or is it the way that they...
And he says all life.
It sounds weird. Or is it the way that they wrote it?
Right.
And I know that I'm not saying...
Neither of us saying, we're just trying to go through the idea.
Yeah, because I have heard that a lot, that it's a
Well, this is Moses' interpretation of what God was saying.
Right. In the same way that God, and again, I'm going to say this about 37 times. I'm not saying this, but I would hear people say the way God accommodates and says they wrote it down as God wants us to sacrifice these animals. And then later on, God says, your animal sacrifices I never wanted. So God was telling them to sacrifice an animal. He didn't want that. They wrote it down in a way saying we all have to sacrifice all the time. So there was a misstep in humanity.
Let me disagree with myself and then agree with myself. Here's my disagreement. Could the days represent thousands or billions of years? Right? Like, so that'd be against what I'm saying. Yeah. But then in the Bible, in another place, it says, for God, a day is like 10,000 years and 10,000 years like a day. Right. So they say, okay, that's still a biblical concept.
40,000 years and 40,000 nights.
Right, so, wait, it's 1,000, not 10,000.
It's 1,000. So creation being 6,000 years long.
It could, and even that, and then even then you're saying it's
which is the young years. Earth, but that is actually the young Earth model. Mm-hmm. That if you strictly take the Bible at face value with the ages and time frames, we have about a 6,000 year creation and about a 6,000 year of humanity, which is why the young Earth people have a roughly 12 to 15,000 year Earth in their minds.
Right.
It's better backed than I thought. I was always like, that's the weirdest thing. I can't believe you would ever say that.
The challenge with that is we read Genesis 1, 2, and 3 like they happen day after day after day. Adam and Eve could have been in the garden for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years before the fall.
Doesn't it say, though, on the second day?
No.
He created? Oh, you're saying after
creation.
Oh.
Adam and Eve could have been in the garden. The earth could have been growing. And
does it not give ages for Adam? I seriously can't remember.
It gives ages for them after the fall.
I mean, they were adults.
Oh, like after the fall, then they lived this much longer.
I created them as adults, so how can you could create a mature world, too?
I know people complain that we have ADHD on this podcast.
Makes it fun, though.
They're right.
They're so right, and I apologize for not putting bows on things very often. But did God create Adam and Eve and humanity to live forever when he originally did it? Because when sin entered the world, that's when death entered the world. Did he create things initially for us to be eternal in flesh?
What do you guys think?
I think to be eternally with him. Yeah.
If so, what was the purpose of the tree of life? Because when they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, he removed the tree of life from the garden so that they would not continue to live forever.
Yeah, super interesting story. I'm impressed you got that right, by the way. Most people get that wrong. No, most Christians get that wrong.
You're surprised anybody could get that right.
What are you saying? What are you saying he's got right? Summarize his position so I know what you mean by that.
Most people confuse the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. Think there was one tree. Think there was however it works.
I was like, what do you mean?
Especially that's the two.
Yeah, I want to know.
But honestly, I didn't know for years.
Yeah, you're right. Or what to argue against.
So that's right. So I want to go back to this 1,000 years and the thing. Just even when I hear people use that analogy for why you can use creation back to the allegory or not.
So you're not going to go with if we were made eternal or not?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
He didn't hear the question. His phone was in his hand.
Well, I was trying to look at this because I would have bet $1 million that when people talk about the days like 1,000 years and 1,000 years like a day, that like is not implied. That's an actual word. And so when someone takes that word literally, even in the
You mean it was in the original text?
in the Greek, yeah,
Yes.
the word like.
Oh,
So when people
yes.
are like, no,
Yeah,
a day
simile.
is
100%.
1,000 years.
Simile
The Lord,
wasn't a poetic tool.
yeah, it was doing it just kind of a rough idea. And in
Yes.
fact, when it inverts it and say then 1,000 years like a day, does that mean every 1,000 years we're saying is a day? So when people use that to like age the earth, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's really poor theology because that is not what this passage is saying. It is saying like you're trying to give you an idea of what God is like and how he sees time.
Yes, but to steel man their argument,
Yeah.
I don't think it's that far of a stretch in the same way that Job, which is poetic, uses that same word like when it talks about the Leviathan and the behemoth. And it says the reason that people think they were dinosaurs is because it says certain parts of it, when it swims, it's like this, but then in other parts, it actually says it breathes fire. It doesn't say it's like breathing fire.
Right.
It's a drag.
But
And
if
so-
you use the 1,000-year argument to create for the creation, I'd say, but that's not the
I
intent. They're
could-
getting that from that.
I could see it being problematic,
And,
sure.
and the
But
other
I can
part
also
is-
see it being
The other part is that we all believe that God's outside of time and space. So there's no way God sees a day as 1,000 years. He could see it as 1,000,000,000 years. If he's outside of time and space, you'd be arguing a number that doesn't really exist in his
I
way
don't
he
know
sees
if this
reality.
is biblical or just somebody painting the picture for a concept. God flips through time like a book, right? So he can see it all
Like the last
at,
Iranian?
at once.
I was just wondering.
No, it's a
Book is
way better book than that.
he doesn't like
Too
reading.
long, didn't read
And
it.
Josh, the answer to your question is the reason why is because dinosaurs is a new word. Dinosaurs wasn't around in the Bible, so yes, they were referred to as dragons.
I didn't hear his question.
You said dragons. You said that's a dragon. Yeah.
I was just making a comment.
Yeah.
But thank you.
People will tell you,
Thank
people
you.
say there are dragons in the Bible. I
Yeah.
just met with a client and they said, you know, the word unicorns in the Bible. I go, I haven't seen. They go KJV. I go, well, KJV also says that they crossed the Sea of Reeds.
Wait.
So what?
Unicorn is in KJV?
That's what he said. I hadn't even looked it up.
I've
because I
never
didn't
seen
care.
that. Yeah, because I didn't care one bit. It meant nothing.
I had a thought.
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
that?
we're on a podcast.
Great Pyramids. The presumed time of the construction of the pyramids is around 4,000 BC, I believe. Wasn't it 4,000?
The traditional view
Yeah.
is that it is 3,000 to 4,000 BC, or
Which would have
maybe
been
4 to 6,
presumably
something
after, 1,000 millennia after the flood. But we continue to find archaeological evidence. There are people who are constantly searching and seeing and leaning into certain theories and finding them affirmed, not concrete yet, more limestone. And I'm curious if they were constructed prior to the flood,
Yeah.
they survived. It's like, why
Where
doesn't
did
someone
the flood
look
assemble
for
them?
evidence of the erosion? And what's interesting is they've talked about the erosion that they find.
There was
around
clearly there's clearly a massive water erosion
the
in the
base
pyramids.
and all around
Yes.
the exterior
Yeah.
of the pyramids that they find. This is from water, just
Yes.
rapidly moving.
Which, again, there are people who would argue against that. Even they'll say it's wind damage. We think it's wind and sand damage. Which, not me. I don't. But they also, if you go back far enough, that desert was a tropical,
Right.
gorgeous land. You know what I mean? So
He found a unicorn.
Job 39:9.
Someone
Will the
treat-
unicorn
Forces
be
of Job.
willing to serve thee or abide by thy crib?
All right. What's the BLB on that? What's
Yeah. What's the reference? What's the
Job 39:9.
39:9 in the Hebrew? Curious.
I have
By the way, Hebrew is the most
No
simple language on the planet.
so easy.
Unicorn could be like, I'd be curious all the other translations
Me too.
of unicorn.
We're talking about a rhinoceros. Anything with one
It could be the
Could
rhinoceros.
be.
It could be.
Or what's that ancient one-horned? It's like the ancient rhinoceros. Have you seen that? It's all hairy.
The,
Oh.
the rhinoceros?
Oh,
The
rhinoceros.
woolly
rhino
rhino.
leviathan.
The woolly rhino.
Big rhino.
It's like the woolly mammoth.
It also says Deuteronomy 33:17.
Red ame.
What? Okay, yeah. What's the possible translations?
Horse with
Probably
horn.
the great aurochs or wild bulls, which are now extinct. Someone just said a unicorn.
Oh, is this-
because it has the one horn?
I'm sorry. Was this the one where it's can you saddle the? Is that what that verse says?
Will the unicorn serve you or stay by your crib?
Oh, okay.
Hence they'll bind the unicorn with his hand in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after?
So the real question would be is what do they mean by unicorn versus what do we mean by unicorn?
Sure. in the same way that the Leviathan and the behemoth
And the dragon.
And
Reference Petrus.
Deuteronomy 33:17, his glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of a unicorn.
horns, multiple horns of a unicorn.
Of unicorn.
Are we trying to disprove? We're trying to disprove.
The horns of unicorns.
Okay, that's better.
Horns of corn.
So anyway,
Okay, let's get back at least to does man live eternally so we can get to the ark.
Okay,
I want to
good.
ask that question because I know you're asking that.
did you think God created us, or do you think God created us to be eternal in the flesh, the way He created Adam and Eve?
By the way, this is a good
Yes.
conversation.
I think it's so fun. Yes,
I think yes.
you give it yes. What do you got?
My own theory, so I'm going to say I think that entropy enters the world, so I do think yes, they're meant to be eternal. I think sin creates entropy, so I do think they're meant to live eternally.
Yeah, I think no, because that was the purpose of the tree of life, was to keep them alive.
Yeah.
I'm so 50-50 and not even concrete.
Anybody could push me either way on that.
Yeah.
That's what I was like.
And who cares?
That's what's funny is that's how I've always thought, because I was like, that's what that tree was there for. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like sin enters the world, which sin is. I've always had that
Death.
thought. That sin is death, and so like it doesn't enter the world till that. But then I think maybe it was a long, peaceful, perfect life that you kind of fade away. That like it's not this like painful death like we think of it. It's like my day is done. I've lived for 2,000 years or whatever.
Right.
My day is done, and I finally just go to
And
be
it's
with the
it's
Father.
death without pain. You walk
Sure.
with God.
It's more, yeah.
Kind of thing.
That's kind of what I.
And on that same theory, and again, just to poke holes in this. So if I played that theory out, which I have, and again, do not think I'm right. It's just me trying to how I reason through Scripture.
Yeah.
Sure.
If sin enters the world, entropy, death, right? All things are moving towards chaos or destruction or decay. That happens. Then you see them still live for 1,000 years, and then is the shift that there's more sin in the world? Because right, so coming from the garden, the world isn't like filled with sin,
Yeah.
right? But the more sin that exists in the world, they start to die more, right? So they start
Right.
to die younger.
Younger, yeah.
Then probably the peak is the Middle Ages, where people are dying at like 40, right? And then we have the
You mean
rise.
the good old days?
That's right.
Yeah.
Then we have the rise of medicine, and so people live longer based on medicine, no longer based on kind of that sinless version of.
Do you find
wet-
it
wet
odd
garden.
that the Bible says that? And I have not studied this, so I might be screwing it up. But the Bible does say that we won't live past 120 years old.
Yep.
Yeah, that's in Genesis.
We have not really documented had anybody live past 120. That's kind of mind-boggling.
Only
to
biblical
me.
characters, really.
That's what I'm saying. It was
Going for 119.
And it was after that is
Yeah.
when he says it. And so, like, there seems to be this point. But I keep thinking the way medicine's going, we have to get somebody past 120.
That's gonna happen.
And if somebody gets past 120, what do you do with that scripture?
A day is 1,000 years.
Nice.
Jesus returns. He's like, ha ha!
Yeah, the first guy is like, I'm 121. Boom, I'm back.
10 days old? You'd be 10 days old?
Yeah.
It's 1,000 years.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Although-
all the record holding oldest people were like 104, 112, 111.
Yeah. And there was one.
Have you seen them? Have you seen like the 112-year-old people?
Why are you making us do this right now?
I don't want to.
Because
Why are you making us do this?
they don't
Terrifying.
look alive.
Did you see?
Mummified.
Did you see the recent? Well, the most recent one I saw was the monk.
Yes.
I've never seen a
Yes.
scarier.
Yeah, you showed us
we
that.
both looked-
Scarier being in my life.
Yes.
That was terrifying.
That's the even if someone's like, we did it, we lived to 120, like you didn't want to.
and
You shouldn't have.
I would not call that alive.
Yes.
No.
That poor guy. It was unbelievable. Anyway.
All right, so there we go back. Now we'll go back to the ark. So we did a lot of, which is good, is kind of deconstructing a little bit of the idea of allegory versus fact, how we see this. Now we're back at the ark. Your last question was, do you believe the story? Do you believe that the flood was only localized? And so where did everybody, I think we all said no. We all think it was global, right? I think that's what everybody said. I guess my question would be next is, what does this mean? Why doesn't Turkey let people actually examine this? Do we believe the scans? Why won't Turkey let people up on the mountain? It doesn't disprove Islam, it supports it.
Or they would.
And then is there any implication for us or believers or the world or non-Christians at all in this scenario? So those are all my questions.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
It is interesting.
I think it was too many questions.
I think there's a matter of, the reality of tourism. I think
That's their excuse.
But why
That's
not let
Turkey's-
science-
You could build up like a whole
I said that.
Scientists.
just like all the sites in Israel, or if you're in Turkey, there are other sites in Turkey. So it's, I don't know.
I just read, and this is what we do the worst on this podcast. One of us should have studied this in depth before talking about it, because I literally as we were hitting record.
You mean the Bible?
Yeah, the Bible.
Yeah.
I read an article that it was in 2023 was that they did discover human artifacts around the site of the Ark. It's 18 miles from something I did. And so they're like clay pots. They actually said seafood, which I found very interesting that they went with seafood, not sea creatures. That was the funniest comment in that
That
article.
means it had been eaten.
Right. And so like, I'm guessing it was shells of shrimp or something. And so there have been people in the site who have studied things. They shut it down
We've heard
because of
forever that the Mount Ararat is the location of the Ark.
I don't think
People have
anybody's
claimed that
arguing
forever.
with it,
We
yeah.
just nobody's ever
Yeah.
believed it or verified it.
it's just that it seems like now the new studies are saying, and the reason I think attention got away from it is because that was the common thought in the, I think it was 70s or something. And then one scientist, and I can't remember his name, proposed that was just a monolithic stone structure that looked man-made because of the sharp angles. And then once he said that, everybody went, "Oh, you're right," and then blew it off. And then all the Christian scientists were like, "No, this is still a huge discovery for us." Do you guys think it's a huge discovery? Do you think it matters at all?
I thought there was might have been in the 90s, they did discovery in regards to studying they thought it was rock, but it actually was like petrified wood.
Yes, and
it was
they
wood.
found massive fossils
And
up
they
there.
found wood that was of the not gopher wood, or what was it, gopher wood?
No,
No,
it
it's called
was
something.
that isn't from that area.
It was
the
germinated
slightest
to a
bit.
different area.
Yeah, it was not. It was a specific.
Well, what's the biblical
palm?
wood that God instructs him?
I know, and I can't remember it now.
Gopher, and
Not acacia wood.
No,
no,
That's
but
what-
whatever
that's
it was, they said it could be this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, once it's petrified, it's hard to analyze.
but they did find massive sea life at the very top, fossilized, which they were like
And you can find that in other locations too. There's
really high up.
there's so much evidence in regards to
That's
massive
crazy to think about.
Right.
I wonder if the reason why Turkey has shut it down
I like
is
this.
because the only people that are interested is Christian scientists.
Oh, maybe.
That's interesting. That's a fair argument because they're like because
Interesting,
it
yeah.
benefits
Sure.
it benefits Islam,
Yeah.
Judaism,
All the
and
major
Christianity.
world religions.
It benefits them. It benefits everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, so first of all, I'm already skeptical. Why can't we just go look at it? And then,
But I feel that way about the Shroud of Turin too.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that I genuinely believe
just
in.
let us go look at it. Like, and then the second one is the scans.
But
like, when
do you think this is where we get weird and spiritual? The God of this world, and I do mean this, that Satan is like, no, I'm not letting you discover the stuff that literally proves a creator, that proves the Bible.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't want people thinking this is real.
Yeah, it
So
was-
I'm going to shroud all of the quote unquote evidence in a shadow to where you can never really know.
I actually thought you were going to say God was doing that. Well, because that way
Sure.
it maintains faith.
Sure. What if that's
why
the
they're going to
case?
be weird. I thought,
Yeah,
like,
so it was him who.
My
does
argument
not
would
see and
be,
yet believes.
my argument would be, even if we let everybody up and we're like, this is 100% the ark, and we studied the shroud and we're like, this is 100% like
People
a
still
Jesus
believe
character. I think the same people would disbelieve and the same people would believe. I don't think it would change
or you
as
might
much
change.
as we
You
think.
might trade teams.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't. I'm just wildly skeptical, and the last thing I like doing is banking on something that I just want more evidence for. That being said, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
That's the extent of it. I'm like,
It's
it's cool.
It's at the top of Mount, or near a peak of Mount Ararat, and where the Bible says it is. And there's a structure, whatever it is, that happens to match the measurements of which God instructed Noah to construct it. So it's like,
I think it's cool, but I also know this: for us, it doesn't impact our faith one bit, whether it was proven true or not. For us, for the four of us, our faith is what it is. It's already found.
I bet my faith would be bolstered.
it would be
a little
affirmed.
if it was
would be-
definitive,
Faith is weak enough.
bit. I know.
if we laid out kind of what we would say is definitive proof, and it met those standards, it'd help. I'd have more faith. I think it would. Like if it was like,
I don't
these
think
are the
it's possible
7
for me to have more
criterias.
faith than I currently.
That's the right response.
That's right. I think we had like 7 criteria, and it's like it shatters. us a bit.
I think
Dang, that's pretty cool.
yeah. I think I would probably talk about it more with people. Like people who said they were atheists or agnostic, I'd be like, well, did you hear that the Bible was totally
You're talking
proven?
about it to 7 billion people right now.
Well, if you think about it too, it can affirm multiple religions, multiple faith, creeds. So it's like,
Sure.
That's probably why it wouldn't really bolster my.
It's the
Christian
topic.
specific.
Anything that encourages the conversation on the topic of God,
Right.
I love.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
If
I
you're
just love
studying
it.
anyone who studied the Tanakh or the Quran or the Bible, it's like Old Testament. It's like, yeah, well, that affirms that, and then it gets down to questions of like, all right, well, let's talk through Micah and Isaiah and other things, and it's like, all right, that's separating Christians from.
Yeah, the hard part to me is that you always we go back to Jesus.
That's
So I'm like, there's an ark, cool. Did Jesus die for sins or not? Did he rise from the dead or not? That's what the real.
Do you think if there was like
Infinite.
a big moment where all the news cameras were there and all the world, and they went in there and they said, "This is the Ark," like it became a global discovery, not
Yeah.
just like a.
Agreed.
Do you think that would increase people's faith or curiosity?
I think it would increase the curiosity. is what I'm
Curiosity.
saying. Yeah. I don't
So
know
it's like
about
this
faith. but
discovery. Like
curiosity.
this is like we're all the new like CNN and Fox together, both like this is real.
I think curiosity, because faith in the ark isn't what we're after.
Yeah, and I think there's more people than we give credit to that are genuinely seeking and kind of on the fence, where they're like, I don't know, they'd call themselves agnostic, and they would say like, I don't know, you can't disprove or prove a God, so any little evidence one way or the other does shift them a little, in at least thinking about like, well, if the Bible narrative of the flood is real in terms of there's this ark that we all have thought for years, humanistically, like there's no way that was proven, in the same way that I think the discovery of Petra, like the lost city of Petra, we couldn't find it, so you kind of dismiss it. Then we find it, and you go, "Oh, the Bible has a little more credence than I thought a day ago."
The archaeological evidence of Sodom and Gomorrah.
So when
that was remarkable. Super cool.
when
the remains they found.
when I found out that there was Quirinius was the governor of Syria, and there was no archaeological evidence for him, and it was one of the knocks that academics said against the Bible, like, well, they just made up the name of some guy, and then archaeology found coins with his picture on it and his name on it, and it's the only place in the world that
Lining up
mentions him
with that time
is the Bible. Is the only place he's mentioned. You're like, oh my gosh,
Right.
Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Ark though is a supernatural event. It's not just verifying,
It's more.
validating. It's not just validating the Bible. It's validating a supernatural
In
event.
the lens of like focusing on Christ, he references multiple instances of the Old Testament, but
he does reference Noah.
In regards to like in sweeping them away, and also the Son will do that, right? I'm totally paraphrased, but
No, you nailed it.
No,
He does verbatim.
That's
and
Hesitation's 9.
yeah. Constipation's 4 too, and so in that sense, it's like it helps, Christ referencing, because I believe he's true. And if he's the guy I believe in is God, is saying referencing an event that actually didn't happen.
Yeah,
It's like,
then it's confusing. Yeah,
it's confusing.
What would be What would be a current thing that we have in the world that there's? So we've got the Ark of the Covenant, we've got the Ark, we have all these different things. What would be one that you're like, it would be really cool and helpful if it was just validated? If something happened, is there anything that you can think of like
We don't
that?
have the Ark of the Covenant. Right.
Oh, this is the thing. There's a lot of rumor about it being in Egypt, and they have a ceremony in this town. My friend went to it and watched them take the Ark of the Covenant on poles, paraded around the city. Huge celebration.
Oh, wait, someone's got to touch it.
Did anyone try to touch it?
Every year,
Not that I know.
Looking
Every year.
If your buddy
Every
really wanted to prove it, he should have ran up there and tried to touch
Wouldn't
it.
that be awesome? But they have like
What if you touched it with an object?
the priests are still there that actually.
You touch an object.
Yeah, you can touch it because the stick is what they use through the casing of the Ark. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is rumor, and I mean, you can go on YouTube and watch videos of them carrying this thing around. My buddy showed me videos. It's remarkable. There are priests that are born into this sect of priests that live in the building that the Ark's in and do all the ceremonies
Why
still
would that
to
be
this day.
impressive?
Or what are-
Why would that be impressive if it was found?
Are they what?
What are they?
I don't remember. Like, I want to say Levites, but I'm making.
Why would the ark be impressive?
Well, Levites is who they should be.
Yeah,
they should be Levites.
Yeah. I'm not saying. Oh no.
No. So we were saying, like, if that one was found, like, what that feels like, people, they don't understand the supernatural element of it just by looking at it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that God's present, the seat, and all that.
Yeah.
So if you just found it, maybe the manna inside, if the manna was still inside, that'd be crazy.
How are you going to get the lid off?
Oh,
find out?
so no, I'm saying that if that was again completely validated, you would look at that. Somebody would look at that and say, in the same way that the Ark, that Noah's Ark, that you're like, wow, the Bible's real in terms of the depiction.
I think if they opened it and you had the tablets in there,
and if somebody's
manna,
face melted off, maybe, maybe.
but only Nazis, only Nazis. So, like, that's part of it. It would be cool, but I think I'd need more than this.
Okay, yeah. But I'm saying, is there anything in the world right now that there's rumors of that you would really love for it to be validated?
Unicorns.
That'd be so cool, especially if they had wings.
That's it.
If they were flying corns,
I'm trying to think of something.
Flying
I think
corn,
it's something
the
more
unique
impressive than the
variety.
Ark.
duocorns.
The Ark's pretty impressive.
I think
there's
maybe
are. Noah's Ark, you're talking.
yeah.
the pools, the healing pools.
Of Bethesda.
Yeah, Bethesda. I think it'd be cool if they found like gravity was weird there, you know, like how they say there are different spots around the world. But
I'm sorry, but that story in the Bible, that one line, that every so often the angel comes and stirs up the water and people get healed, and I'm like,
First
what?
person gets
Just the first one who gets it's a race.
it's a
That's crazy story. That story right there is bonkers to me.
and it's hard to weigh it. Shroud of Turin would be awesome, but
That's my number one.
I don't know.
My number one is the Shroud because it's so close to being validated.
If it were just dead on,
And then nobody could argue with it.
Yeah.
And everyone who argued it sounded silly because they're like, no, it's from, and they're like, look, there's no way around this. This is something supernatural. We can't understand that, which is kind of where we're at, it feels like. But that would be so interesting.
The burns into it. The burns
that we
into
can't
it,
replicate?
1/16 of a micron or something.
That we
some
can't
crazy
replicate
amount.
with modern technology is mind-boggling to me.
The thing is that if it's the reticular activating system in the brain, you find what you're looking for.
Right.
And if you're looking for proof, you'll find it. If you're looking for a reason to disprove, you'll find it.
Yeah.
it is interesting. So somebody, for whatever reason, I always get tagged in these.
That fly
It's
is
on your face.
it's
not-
tormenting you,
So
and
annoying.
watching it
Why
this
is it
whole
back
time
in Joe's
Why
hair?
you?
is
It
so
wasn't your hair.
distracting. Was it really?
There it is. It's right there.
It's Beelzebub is what it
That's
is.
like you're knock something over. You know you're knocking something over trying to swat it.
Oh my gosh.
Everything's going down.
I'm talking about what Joe.
I only say because we were talking about the turn. Someone just tagged me this week in a clip, some random dude, clip from the documentary talking about the blood on the Shroud of Turin,
Yeah.
right? And they put it on there, and 36,000 people just watched it and counted like crazy. That's how much people are interested in the Shroud of Turin.
Oh, it's
This dude
big.
has 4 followers. Some
Yeah.
random dude just posted this
Yeah.
clip. It looked like he filmed his TV.
Yeah.
And people are like, what is this?
It's so
What is-
Why don't
interesting.
you share that more often?
I share it here and there, but I mean, like, it is interesting. It doesn't need to be shared by me. It's on TV. You know what I mean? But I just thought it was funny. Some dude random clip and 36,000 people like, what's going on? Is this real?
Well, because it's so compelling. Even the detractors are compelling because you're like, we are talking about something so beyond us and our knowledge, and it's so compelling.
And to hear Jimmy Neutron talk about it.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Pretty
It was
impressive.
because Jimmy Neutron did this. It was flat at the time.
It
At
was
the time,
super slick.
It was
back.
slick, too.
Yeah,
It was-
it looks crazy.
I mentioned.
I just remember the gloves.
I don't remember if it was on an episode, if it was in a meeting, but we were talking about just different artifacts, and I stumbled on this one about the Mernetis stele.
Is it a biblical artifact or just an
An
artifact?
ancient Egyptian. It says document, but it's in all manuscripts, so it's all on this like giant stele like tablet, and referencing.
You're saying steel, very weird. A steel tablet?
STELE. How would you say that?
A steel?
Stele. Stele.
That's how you spell steel.
Okay.
And reference. It's like the oldest found artifact that references in Egypt that references Israel. that
Oh, interesting.
So it's
about their captivity.
It's confirming.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, because if you look up record and public record, they're like, no, they weren't here. It's like
Egypt denies it, and they're like, nope, that never happened.
So it's really cool that they found this. I don't know the dating of it, but it was inscribed by Merneptah, and originally erected by ancient Egyptian king Imhotep III, but later inscribed by Merneptah, who ruled from 1213 to 1203 BC, and it's referencing Israel.
Interesting. That's fun.
So I think
that's cool.
That's the coolest.
That's cool because Israel, because
cool.
Egypt says it didn't happen.
Confirming, it's just like, they were here.
That's pretty cool.
And again, affirming the historicity of God's great miracle of the Exodus.
Historicity?
Yep, that's a real word. He's saying it right.
No, hysterectomy.
You ever been there?
No, it's
Historicity.
the hysterectomy of the Bible.
I just realized another one. Like, if you could get an entire gospel of the original writing, like but not gospel, one of the, like John or Mark, or an epistle, like incomplete, intact.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty dope.
Like a singular.
Yeah, just a singular of one of the gospels or an epistle. Flies coming after
It
me.
landed on
I'm
your
like,
eye.
Oh my gosh.
We're talking about no, it's literally flying next to you still. You did this, and I walked.
I was pretending that I got him.
The other one is the scroll.
Always on your face.
The other one is the scroll that. What was the guy's name? Shoot, it's the guy who wrote about Jesus, who sent the scroll about Jesus. No. Who sent it to Caesar?
Tacitus. Might have been Tacitus or Pliny.
Something like that. No, not Pliny. It might have been Tacitus.
Livy, Tacitus, Pliny. These are all the early.
Scholars.
I can't remember the guy's name, but he sent a scroll to Caesar saying that he wants to induct Jesus into the pantheon of gods.
Yes.
And I was like, if that could be like this dude was just normal, and he's like, no, I'm not even that excited about it. That dude just rose from the dead, so I think he's one of the gods. Right. If that could be valid, I'm like, that's cool.
That is cool.
That's a fun one. This fly is driving. It's not even near me. It's driving me bonkers.
I can't wait till it lands in a spot where I can actually get my hands on it.
I know.
I can't
it's too cramped in here. Anyway, okay, that is a fun convo.
There's another one. I'll have to find it and send it to you guys. But there was some, I'm sorry, I can't remember it, but they were referencing a letter between a Roman general and the Caesar at the time in a different region, referencing the great shaking of the earth and an eclipse, and it was on according to the same date that Jesus was crucified.
Oh, interesting.
So just like they're going like, hey, should we move our region? It's
not even about anything supernatural. It's just weird.
Like,
interesting.
What we do.
That'd be fun.
Like, oh gosh, and it gets me chills because it's like, that would have been. Yeah. I would have written the same. Like, hey guys, do I come to work?
Yeah.
The sky is dark and the earth is shaking.
Is it like a foggy day schedule?
I don't know what's
going
on.
Are we on an earthquake schedule?
And those are the things that are cool, is when there's extra biblical literature that points to that validates the Bible.
And it has nothing to do with the event. It's just somebody observing their life.
That's when it's fun, is that it's not like we're talking about Jesus and it's proof of Jesus. Right. It's just some random dude being like, hey, there's a big earthquake.
It's like, hold on, let me look at the date of this.
Yeah.
What was Pontius Pilate's date?
So interesting. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
All right,
that's fun.
Yeah,
man, I love this stuff.
If you accept the clock
oh, wait a minute. I'm so sorry. Before you do that one, it's a would you rather in the vein of the eternal stuff.
Oh, okay. Humans being eternal.
I'm not doing I'm not saying it yet, but keep it in mind because it's the one I want to start with. It's the and I will forget, which is why I'm mentioning it. You're given $100 million. You're 80 years old. Every $1 million buys you an extra year. So you weren't going to read that, were you?
Oh, it's
the answer.
Yeah, 10 million in a currency of your choice.
Oh, you were going to read that?
Yeah, I posted it in there.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We have it all together.
This is a well-oiled machine.
Go ahead. So read it.
Okay.
So
there's a lot of details on this.
Okay.
But just read the first part.
Yeah, you're offered 10 million in a currency of your choice, but you must reverse time by 10 years.
Oh, that one. No, I was doing a different one. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. No. That was. Are we doing Would You Rather's already?
No. We did it as opening banter because we had so much stuff to talk about, and you said that was a good one, so we put it in the front.
Oh. So in a similar vein, you're given $100 million and you're 80 years old.
Okay.
No. Wait a minute. No, your current age.
It's
got to be your bowl.
It's got to be your bowl. Your current age. You're told that you're going to live to 80 and you will die on your 80th birthday. You're given $100 million. $1 million buys you a year of healthy living past 80. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How much are you going to spend to live long? How far are you going to take
41 million.
it? Okay, so
To
okay.
make Jesus come back.
Yeah, right. That's a fun because I'm like, you're guaranteed healthy living.
Can I ask this person how long my wife will live?
That's the thing. That's the challenge. You end up if you live so long, you outlive all of the people that love you.
Wife and children.
Your life is great.
I'm in.
What was the church
Yeah.
saying?
I finally get to do what I want. Jeez. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Sounds great.
Sorry, Ashley. Now Ashley's thinking, I wish he would just go get murdered.
I feel like 95 is the perfect age, so I do 15 million. Anything after that, you're pretty good.
95.
You said we're giving 100.
But it's a,
you
it's
give it
a
100.
year of health.
Yeah, so $15 million. So I'm only giving. I still have 85 million to myself.
It's not
But
85.
that's what I'm saying, though. It's a year of health. So if you can be in good health,
Right.
No, I'm gonna
Would you
do-
give? This is what's interesting. Okay, you're gonna do what?
No, I was. Can I do like change? Like, yeah, like go to 120 in a day and see what happens on that day.
No.
Just to go
Once you
121.
make your decision, you can't rebarter at 95.
Exactly. It's one.
it would take me some time to make the decision because I would want to determine how much money I needed to live on and live the way that I wanted
75
to
million.
Okay.
Yeah,
to that
that's insane.
point.
The caveat is you have 15 seconds. What do you pick?
Yeah, I'm picking 100 then. 100, be 100 years old, so 20 million and have 80.
Okay. Quick answer. What do you got?
No, I'm sticking mine. 95.
95. What do you got?
10 million. I have 90.
My gosh, you guys are terrible.
Where are you?
So much longer. I'm spending most of it. I'm probably going to go to 150.
Okay, can you still die during this time?
Why not? Sure.
Like, you're not invincible. It's not like a plot armor.
It's not plot.
I love that Ryan picks like 150 and dies at 30.
100%. Because here's the deal. I can invest that money today really well. I'll get that money right back up. I make 100 million, no problem.
Yeah, how'd you last?
Yeah, exactly.
Too soon?
But it's all back. That's the thing. That's way more back. So I'm like, I can do that, no problem. And so it's like,
So yours is what you said?
I'm going
150,
super. I'm
so
going
70
150.
million, so you got 30 million.
I got
left to work.
$30 million is so much. I get to finally buy the one boat that I want.
That's right.
See,
But then you're broke.
but here's the fun thing.
I'm broke now. Who cares?
Here's a fun.
Who gives a rip?
By the way,
Change anything?
you have healthy living, but you still look 150.
I have 90 million.
Yeah.
I have 90 million. I could have been like, hey man, here's a boat.
Thank
You
you.
don't have to buy it.
Thanks.
Like, that's the fun thing. Like, I have so much that I'd be fine, and then I could.
I mean, it's a rowboat. He's not.
And you're still living at 90. I mean,
No, it's a
90's
model.
nothing
Are you
to.
kidding me?
With inflation, by the time I'm 120, that boat's $20 million anyway. So it's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
So,
Yes, yeah, it's gone.
Artifact.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah, now don't do that. Would you rather go to the
Sure.
first topic?
Yeah. This is regarding our country needing more religion. Trump discusses inevitability of death, says he wants religious revival in the U.S. And his quote is, without religion, there's no real guardrail.
So the idea is, do we need more religion in America? Unpack that any way you want.
Religion in and of itself, I don't think.
More
has-
Christ, less religion.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I was going to say. Like, religion in and of itself has never benefited or doesn't have the same benefit that relationship does.
All right, define religion then for me. Oh my gosh, that fly.
Organized spiritual community.
What we do.
Yeah, following a deity.
More Christ, less of us.
Because if people just demonize the word religion, is that the we've been like not religion relationship? Is we just demonize the word that's not that weird? We've
Well,
just
it's
made
not.
it
It's not that the word itself is weird, and it's not that the intent of religions are weird. It's that we mess everything up. Humans mess everything up, and so we have a bunch of people that will follow religious practices void of the relationship.
Let's together. Let's define religion.
It's a great idea.
Let's do that.
That's terrible idea.
What do you got, Ryan? You want to start?
Gosh dang it. Some form of, let's build on this, but it's some form of an institution of a belief system in a higher being power. Really? It's coming over to me now? Really? Oh, it got scared and just left. Yeah, I'd say some form of an institution that is a belief system of a higher power
Built
or
around
higher
some
being,
form of
built on
deity.
some form of deity. I think is good. Yeah, a god figure.
Well,
Anybody add to that? Go ahead.
No, say no. I'm cool with it.
because you could have a non-theist religion.
A non-theist
So
religion.
You
just
could
have
have
to
a
be built on
non-theist
deity.
religion.
So if we're trying to define it, I like the institution because that's involving traditions and practices.
Would you define it
Built upon
without
spiritual
a
practices.
deity?
I think they
Yeah,
would use
if
it
we're
now.
Spiritual's good. There's something about spirituality. You're right.
I think
Yeah.
the word now religion has become, you know,
Automatically,
colloquially, yeah.
Well, I
as
get that. I
as like they just
wondered-
apply it to non, but I think in the origin of its definition, it is connected to spiritual practices.
Yeah, spiritual
by
like, creed,
repetition.
traditions, practices.
Disciplines, right? Like
Right,
that's
disciplines.
some
That's
sort
good.
of spiritual.
Discipline.
Because I would say religion is an organized group of people practicing spiritual disciplines.
Are you looking it up?
No,
No, Josh.
I'm doing it so we can answer it at the end.
Oh, okay. Because I'm looking it up.
anything else, Floyd? You add to that?
No, I think Ryan nailed it pretty well.
Oh, I like the definition actually.
Me too.
What's the definition?
The belief in and worship of a superhuman power or powers, especially God or gods. And there's one below it saying very simply a particular system of faith and worship.
Yeah.
And that's the one I like.
Those two together.
The
There-
superhuman,
yeah.
to collect because it's fun.
There's definitely
Belief in super.
there's a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe, especially when considered as the creation of a superhuman agency or agencies, usually involving devotional and ritual observances, and often containing a moral code governing the conduct of human affairs, all the way to the body of persons adhering to a particular set of beliefs and practices. So
Right,
that's
so
the,
it's kind of
the
a template.
non, yeah.
Yeah.
Does
I think-
America need more of that?
Well, I think the moral code.
Sure.
I think the moral code is what people are looking for when they
Right.
say we need to be more religious. We need people that live in adherence to a more succinct
Moral code. Yeah.
moral code.
You're-
More,
yeah.
not succinct isn't the right word, but that more people live according to the same moral code, I think is what the world is looking for.
And I think that
Do you think we need
Interesting.
more or less of that? Or more of that?
I think more.
More of it?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the moral code they're living by.
I think it's
That's
one.
big.
I think it's one notch above. I think moral code is fine. I think in terms of religion, I personally think America needs something outside of human reason and logic for how to treat each other. Because I think it ends up becoming just societal agreement on what is moral and what's not. Whereas
Nailed it. Well, that's the majority rules in that case. Then
It's anything.
Hitler, Stalin, like you have to say that's okay because the majority ruled
Right.
that that's okay. So unless you have something outside of the masses belief or the majority rule, you're left with, well, it depends on what 9 out of 10 of us or 6 out of 10 of us actually say, which then you're in a
I think
horrible situation.
I honestly think going back to the country, if we're talking about for our country, a time in my life when I felt like there was unification, because it's the purpose of this he's talking about is for unity, right?
So for the last 16
Yeah.
years of your life.
Oh yeah, definitely. After 9/11, everyone was more unified as Americans, as America, and patriotic and caring, and they were putting all the other things that we're currently divided about to the side. And I wish it didn't take such tragedy for that to happen. But the reality is, it's also what our country is built on. It's
That's a
constitution.
Yeah, that's the common enemy theory.
Yeah.
The hard part is when you fast forward to today,
Yeah.
you have a common enemy, but you've got different groups saying no, the other side's the
Who's the
enemy.
enemy?
And so it's not as effective as it used to be. It's
Right.
terrible.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that's an instance in
Yeah.
my life that I can recall that. But it took a tragic event for that to happen.
Think about it.
And
How old were you in 9/11?
I think I was in third grade.
Third grade.
Yeah.
Think about it.
7 or 8.
September 12th, 2001, we saw both
birthday.
parties of Congress,
That's right.
both parties of Congress on the Capitol steps praying in unity.
Yeah, you're right.
If there were a tragic event,
and church is full
9/11,
again. by
yeah.
the way.
If there was a tragic event like 9/11 that happened in 2024, would we see that type of unity? in politics.
And I would
And
argue
I don't
that.
want it to have to get to that. That's my point.
Right.
I think the unity part is fine. I think if America had more religion, it would make a better argument. I think they're going to argue no matter what, because then you're going to argue who is God. You change the conversation of being like saying, well, my God is saying we should do this. My God is saying we should do that. Here's what's moral in my religion. Here's what's moral in mine. I think that's a better argument.
Wouldn't change the fact that we would be arguing, but it would clarify what we're arguing.
I like the idea of like who really. It basically goes in, well, then who really is God?
I think it's a more dangerous argument, to be honest with you. I think as much as it sounds good, I think it's more dangerous if you were to have Islam and Christianity at each other's throats like the Crusades. I think it's a more dangerous argument.
Well, I think the
extreme,
argument ends up being along the lines of, specifically if we're talking about the idea of morality. You don't have to kill each other if you're arguing over morality. You're saying, well, my God says
you don't have to, but it's
Islam.
fun.
But if Islam is saying, if Islam is saying the thing we want to do, our moral code or our thing is jihad, just saying that it's jihad.
Right.
Then you're saying like, okay, that is worth arguing over. That is worth trying to get down to is what really is morality.
Very much so.
And then the atheists would say, well, we're all religious nuts and that's why we kill each other. Although we're looking at a world moving more towards atheism and we're killing each other at a greater clip than we have before.
100%.
Do you know
100%.
what the Muslim tenets are in regards to respecting government policy
I actually don't know.
and civil law?
No, I'm not sure.
I'm just curious because it's like,
Well, from their action, from like, I'm not saying, I'm saying from what it seems like the way they practice it, it's for them to be in power.
sure.
So that I don't know what they actually say, but it seems like in every scenario they try to take power.
Talking about the
It depends on the.
We shouldn't.
It depends on the government. It depends on the governmental rule that you have.
right.
Because in certain parts of the world, they would honor and respect the government, but basically only if there's Sharia law.
Right.
Outside of that,
They're taking over. I mean, that's how Muhammad started,
say,
right?
this
If you
is
remember, he
Muhammad's
banned
origins.
groups together and he went after individual cities that he didn't agree with.
And then you give the mercy was the men could join them
Yes.
or have their throats slit.
Yeah, he was very successful in his endeavor.
I do still think that the reason we have religious freedom is our religious freedom is built upon the merit that there are self-evident truths, objective truth
Well, that's good.
of by our Creator, unalienable rights of pursuit of the happiness, life, liberty. So it's like life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, for the right word. And so it's like it's interesting that religious freedom is stemmed out from religion, from where these men
Well,
were.
and I would say specifically Judeo-Christian.
Judeo-Christian religion. Yeah,
I
Honestly.
think that word there is inalienable, not unalienable. Just the
It is
inalienable.
inalienable.
it's unalienable.
No, in.
In.
Look it up.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now.
Shoot, that says un.
.gov,
It says-
unalienable.
It says unable to take away the inalienable, unable to take away from or given away by the.
Is it synonymous?
Honestly.
It might just be two. Yeah,
Might be.
I've always said in
I'm just reading the .gov, man.
Yeah, well, they're our government lies.
I do love it though. They are endowed, quote, comma, by their Creator with certain unalienable.
They use both. It's used
rights.
both actually.
They do.
It's
Crazy.
used both.
And that is pertaining to religious freedom. So that's the
Yeah.
hard.
They can be used either way.
Yeah, that's the
And
hard.
I would argue that without the Judeo-Christian set of values, we would not get there.
And is that interesting?
That's and I know that's weird. And I would say the same thing about science. We would not be where we are scientifically without a Judeo-Christian set of values first.
Well, I think that's where
more people will argue with that than they would the other.
100%.
All higher
They would argue.
Higher
Yes.
education was started by Christians.
Absolutely.
Well, absolutely. And the argument that I've heard to Steelman on the other side is that was the majority of the population was quote unquote Judeo-Christian.
Yeah.
So obviously it would stem from that. But I would argue that it wouldn't stem from anything else.
I'm trying to go through different world religions in my head and trying to see if you could get there any other way, and I can't. And I think the thing that
not
makes
the major ones,
the
for sure.
Judeo-Christian mindset, the Judeo-Christian mindset helps you get there in the pursuit of science and in making freedom of religion for any religious practices of any faith because Judeo-Christian mindset is truth never fears a challenge.
Yeah.
Like we are not afraid to let you try your stuff. We are not intimidated by your gods.
And that we are all created equal, regardless of what you believe. I see value in you simply because you exist.
Right.
Right.
As opposed to
God loves you.
most of the other religions.
Right. So it is interesting because I guess when we were answering this question, it sounds like when he asked it, would it be better for America? There's two ways to answer that. One is better for America as a governmental system. I took it as better for America in terms of their eternal salvation. So I went the other way with my thinking was more along the lines of this is better for America because I'd love for America to be having the discussion of who's the right God. That's the question I think in terms of eternity. I think that's the right place to be having that discussion.
Yeah.
I think you're right. It genuinely scares me. Religion without bounds kind of freaks me out.
Sure.
And so that's not an easy answer for me. I like what you say. I like that you said that. I'm
that was entailed in our, I don't know about religion.
Yeah, I guess I'm just more skeptical of religion without bounds and everybody arguing over it. And I'm like, oh, that sounds scary. Not that I want Christianity to be in power necessarily.
Right.
It just freaks me out.
People's propensities to adhere to the moral ethics.
Yeah. What's the saying, which I think is a disgusting saying, but there's no hate like Christian love. It's like, oh, it's scary.
We had last week.
Yeah.
I had one yesterday.
It's still great, right? It's
In
confusing.
one way, I see it evident as well, and I know you guys love when I bring it up, which isn't often, but in AA, it started from Catholicism with from the nun, the angel of AA, with Bill Williams and Bob S. and I forget the other founders.
Bob.
It was started from a Christian perspective, and from
Well,
those
the 12
moral
steps
ethics.
are all biblically. I mean, you can find biblical.
They're all sound.
Yeah.
But
And they went super inclusive with the higher power.
I mean, it did reference God. It said that I think the original steps were saying, life became manageable, the power was alcohol, came from that a power that are greater than ourselves. But then as you go down the steps of like made an inventory, became willing to seek God to help us restore us to sanity and help us with these things. And whoever's in recovery knows I just botched all the steps. But
sounded awesome to me. I was like, this guy.
But it does reference God. And so it's like
still it used to.
It used to, and I think it still does.
Okay.
Or no, I'm sure they might have made sure that it all, like new translations, replacing that with higher power, to be consistent. Yeah. But it's still a program that was built from Christianity.
Yeah. And biblical principles.
But still respecting people's freedom in the pursuit of abundant life and finding sobriety with whatever your higher power is.
But
do you think God would do that today? So do you think God would want
everybody to be sober?
Right. But want a program, and this is a very odd, convoluted question, but if God was doing that today and creating a program for people to follow in order to get sober, do you think he would be like, look, in order, because I'm so concerned with their well-being that I'm okay with picking different higher powers? Or do you think God is a jealous God and would say, no, I want this based on me and me only?
Where is the origin of that idea? The idea goes back to our original question, which is God is saying, can you see something bigger than yourself? Is the bigger point.
So just starting someplace is better than
start with
nothing.
Theism. There's something greater than you.
Yeah.
Like, so where somebody who's in recovery, they realize I'm unable to get myself sober, right? It's And so they would say it, which I think is an interesting dynamic because that's kind of the same idea.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Of what we're talking about.
That's why I'm getting
is that we can't get there, so we just need to start with acknowledging that
we need a starting point
bigger than us.
Sure. And I think that God cares more about our salvation than he does about our sobriety.
Yeah.
But we have seen over and over and over again that oftentimes, more often than not, one requires the other. Like in advance, like
it's weird to come to God not sober.
Yeah,
because it's like, is that even you?
Is that even real? Right. And then admitting that because that's the beginning, right? That's the beginning of the salvation journey, is recognizing that there is a God there.
Yeah,
that there is a God out there.
Right.
Yeah. I think in the sense of that is interesting. Yeah, God being just God, but then the matter of Christ, it's like if God were to do that, to hypothetically intervene in regards to specifically sobriety, which is such a human thing, I think he would be jealous, and so jealous that he he would send Jesus to intervene and
Oh,
provide us with words of
like
wisdom.
like maybe he did. Oh, interesting.
That's the only way I could see that from that heart of jealousy, because the amount of testimonies of people who, before they were sober, had spiritual experiences that pierced through, and a lot of the words be like it like pierced through the darkness that was in their life or whatever crazy trip they were on, and it was a voice of peace and truth or calling them by their name. It's like he meets us where we're at. It really is true. But then there's a lot more to that. So lean into your higher power, and I do believe that higher power was Christ calling to you.
Yeah. I would say no, he wouldn't do the general.
Yeah, you do the specific.
He'd be specific, but then be gracious. If someone says, "Here's where I'm going to start," they say, "Cool," but I don't think he'd do that. One other thought, I was just thinking, we're talking about humans and the difference between God and America and religion. I think humans can do a good job of legislating civility. I don't think they do a good job of creating morality. So I think they can create laws
It's very good.
to keep us from murdering each other.
Right.
I don't think it has to do with morality. It's just civility.
Which is why I think Jesus changed the game with the "you heard it said of old." Like, you heard it said of old, do not commit adultery. I'm telling you, I'm more concerned with the heart.
Right.
I think that was a game change with religion in general.
Yeah.
Your actions, whereas the Jewish culture is all about action.
Right.
And
Results.
And I've heard multiple Jewish guys say, like, I don't give a rip what you do, like what you're thinking or feeling. It's just what you do.
Right.
So like, and it was interesting that Jesus came along and was like, no, it's your heart is really what I'm after. I want to change you as a being, bring you closer to me, not just based on your actions. I think is a very interesting
Which is
shift.
also reflective of him saying to the woman that you don't have to go to that synagogue or that temple. That you'll be able to be in the presence of God wherever you are.
So crazy.
So it's pretty cool. Okay,
That's very fun.
and we have a little bit of time left here.
I could have talked about the Ark for 7 hours.
Could.
And so a whole nother topic, I'm like,
Did you watch the YWHI finals on it?
no, not yet.
He does a good one.
Oh, does he? Oh, I gotta say, okay, that's fun. No.
He does actually a whole compilation of like biblical archaeological finds.
Really? This podcast went by faster than I think any other one for me. Because I'm like, this is such a fun conversation. And I look and I was like, oh my gosh,
15 minutes.
we're out of time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shoot,
We're out of time.
this was so fun to me. Don't do it.
If you slap
Don't do it.
from
We're done. He was on your shoulder.
done.
You can handle a shoulder slap.
we're done.
It was a shoulder slap.
I want it to land on his beard and you just slap him across the face. Oh God, I'm so sorry.
This
almost
first would
within
you rather
reach.
is would you rather have 8 fingers or 12 toes? And I am I'd like to propose changing that to would you rather have 8 flies in the room or 12 mosquitoes?
Right? Oh.
Ooh.
It's
Because we already have
eight flies.
And there's a mosquito in here. It bit me on
It's
the heart.
8 flies.
Really? It's flies, right?
Yeah.
I heard a great stand-up by Josh Johnson. Is his name? Very funny. He said, every one of us are 2 flies away in our home from being disgusting. He's like, 1 fly is you accidentally left the window open. 2 is like, one of those flies went and got their buddy and was like, do I have the place for you? It's a great routine. I was like, it's true.
That's clever.
Flies in your house are
Plate
disgusting.
of food in your room.
Yeah.
Would you rather gain the ability to see all the crimes a person has committed in his life, or gain the ability to see all the crimes a person will commit in their life?
Neither.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Both of them are gross.
That's like a facet of being a facet of God, of Christ.
Well,
There's
just an amplified gift of prophecy.
Yeah.
'Cause-
All right, how about
But
this?
one very specific.
They're going to be in your life somehow.
The crimes are.
The person. So you're like, so they're gonna,
Crimes are, yes.
either they're marrying into your family,
Oh,
or somehow they're in a business.
Okay, so
partner.
there's something.
They're in. You have some skin in the game. Like knowing
that
this
way you know-
information. What do you want to know?
Okay,
Well, that way you know if you have to commit a crime.
But this goes into
his crimes enough that I'm going to kill him now,
oh. Well, I thought it was like help bury the body. But
or that.
yeah, it depends how the family is.
in that scenario, if he's in my life, I want to know the crimes he's going to commit. And it's funny that I went with he. It could have been they.
We both did.
Yeah, it's a very. So I'm going to say this in the future.
Your odds
ones.
are on your side with.
Yeah, right. Sadly, I want to go with future ones because then I can know, like, do I need to cut off this relationship right now or not?
Wow.
Or it could be like, hey, he's going to be trespassing, but he climbed his way to the top of the Staples Center. Like,
Now we're best friends. Now we're buddies.
So it's kind of like, I would choose will commit.
What do you think, Floyd?
Yeah, I think we'll commit.
Yeah, it seems the future seems to matter more.
It does matter more because your past is your past.
Yeah, because you meet someone you think like, but like,
But the
completely
future-
reformed.
Now, would you want somebody to know about the crimes you have committed or that you're going to commit? Because it is
going to commit.
Okay, so we're flipping it.
Going to commit.
so
sure.
you want somebody else to know what you're going to do.
Yes,
Okay.
because I'm not going to commit more crimes, and I have committed crimes.
Okay. It is.
I have no problem with people knowing what
You're gonna
I would like someone to know what I'm going to do.
It does seem creepy for somebody to be like, dude, you were not a good person.
Yeah.
You're like, I know.
Now the list would be scary long because we're talking about crimes.
Yeah.
I haven't been caught for all those crimes, but it'd be a
Yeah.
lot longer than
A lot.
if I spent time listing them. Like, oh, so that
Caught
was a
twice.
And it makes you seem like a pretty terrible person,
Yes.
if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
All right.
One last one. Would you rather spend 24 hours with someone who has
I don't know. I just it's what Reddit puts on there.
Wait,
No.
we never did
That's insane.
fingers or toes.
would you rather have 8 fingers or 12 toes?
I already have 8 fingers.
Do you know how beneficial?
It's true. 2 thumbs.
Well, wait, you're not losing a thumb, so not gonna be a pinky. 'Cause
Are
it did say
they-
thumb?
Do
Well, it's
they
like just a little
are they
small
totally
extra one.
It's like
dexterous?
one coming out of your wrist.
Are they functional?
Yeah, are they totally dexterous? Like, can I use them like I use my fingers?
Oh, well, think about how
Yes.
the guitar.
Functional.
That'd be helpful for
And they're on your hand normal. They're not some weird like a
Right.
finger growing out of your forehead.
Come on. But guitar, 8 fingers. I don't use my thumb that much.
No, but you've got more functional fingers on the fretboard and stuff.
We're
Wait,
saying
no,
8
8.
more
You have one
fingers?
less. No. These are 8 total. Fingers.
Wait, what?
Because you're having fingers.
So we have 6
confused by
fingers.
his
We
math.
have 6 fingers and 2 thumbs.
Oh, so you're saying I'm losing?
Wait, I can't flip someone off now.
Yeah.
In my head, I was adding fingers. I am so sorry.
No.
You're losing 2 fingers.
Basically, it's 2 fingers.
Are growing-
Or gaining 2 toes.
Do you choose the
feel like-
fingers, or are
Yes.
these arbitrarily
No, you choose
chosen
them.
for you?
You
So I could say I'm dropping my 2 pinkies,
Yep.
or growing more. Oh, okay. I'm on the
or an
question
extra
now.
toe on each foot.
Toes.
Yes. Yeah, I'm picking toes.
I think it's toes.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty beneficial.
I don't want to lose a finger. That
I'm
sounds
curious
terrible.
if you could swim even faster with an extra set of toes.
No.
You're so weird.
No.
It's
That-
like a flipper.
That thought is so
Flipper.
weird.
They're not webbed.
Yeah, but it's more
Here's-
surface area.
Here's the
But
caveat.
the other one creates
Here's the
more
caveat.
time.
Here's the caveat. The 2 extra toes are big toes. So you have
Oh no!
Can I put them on the outside so I have a big toe on the outside?
Do you know how well you could balance if you had an extra big toe?
No,
on the
they
outside?
come out of your heel like a dew claw. They come out of your heel backwards. No, it's awesome. That's what I'm saying. It's fantastic.
Hang upside down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh.
Remember what was the movie where she had hands implanted instead of her feet, and she could like swing in trees with her feet?
Do not know.
It was a pretty great movie. I'm gonna think of it at some point.
Called low five.
No, I can't remember. I'll think of it at some point in my
Let's get
life.
handsy.
It's pretty fun. Okay.
All right.
We
Thanks
all
for joining
picked
us on You Won't Hate It. I'm Josh.
He doesn't want to do the one that he thought was gross. At least say it.
I am not Ryan. I want to hear the 24-hour one.
Would
Or
you
the
rather
24
spend 24 hours with someone who's died or 24 hours in the future? Wait, what do you mean spend 24 hours in the future? Am I spending a time of 24 hours? Or am I in the future for a second, but 24 hours ahead?
Oh wow.
No, it's 24 hours anywhere in the future. Just saying.
Oh, okay.
Why would
person-
anyone choose the,
person-
dead person?
No.
Wait.
It's the,
Oh, they're not dead. They're
Right.
alive again. Oh, I thought I was hanging out with an unalive person. I'm like,
In a room for.
how you doing?
Mine's been 30 minutes.
So like 20. So it's like 24 hours with your grandparents. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, I do that for sure.
It's 24 hours in the future.
Currently,
You guys are going to do investment stuff.
currently in my life, it's future.
I don't know. 24 hours with a 40-year-old Floyd Cletus IV, or
Yeah.
24
'cause-
hours with Floyd Cletus I.
How old do you think?
What?
How old do you think you guys will be?
I'm 24
into your
hours in the
grandchildren's-
future. I'm not even talking to anybody I know. I'm going right to the stock market.
That's honestly how I feel.
How old do you think you'll be in your grandchildren's lives? Like, How long do you think? I'm going to try to ask this. How old do you think your grandchildren will be when you pass away?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have any.
Because I think that'd be cool. It's like,
I don't have any that I know of.
if you pass away when your grandchildren is 18, your grandson is 18, you're like, but I want to hang out with him for a day. When he's
Sure.
25.
Sure, that's
I
pretty
mean, if he
baller.
wants to go to this,
Stock
we're
market.
gonna stop. if he wants to tag along while I do this, that's fine.
All right.
I'd spend a day with my grandpa for sure.
Gosh, 24 hours in the future, for sure.
I'm a horrible person. My mom is dead. My brother's dead.
Yeah.
Future.
Yeah. How
I'll see them in eternity.
far do you go in the future, and what do? You have 24 hours. That is not as long as it seems.
What
That's
if you
pretty
get
quick.
to spend 24 hours with him in heaven? Because they're dead.
Still picking future.
Oh,
Because I'm going to heaven on my own later.
How quick is 24 hours?
I'm doing.
How far ahead?
days is
I'm
1,000
going
years.
30 years.
30?
Okay, and then I'm going to look at an almanac and kind of see the trends because I don't want to just do a year. I want to kind of see where things trended.
But that's banking on him spending the millions of dollars to be 95.
Right.
Yeah, because right
He's already
now
on
it
his
wouldn't
way.
help as much.
So I'm doing 30 because I want to see, and then I'll look back and see how it all went.
You got
So I know how to make some
43
decisions
years,
to make.
bud.
You know, I'm going to make some like I can't just do 1 year. I want to be like, well, where's this all going? What's the trend?
This is the evil
In the market.
genie where it's like, cool, you go forward 30 years, and then you're like, give me an almanac. And they're like, oh, what? No, so you spend 24 hours trying to explain what you want. And then right at the last second, they go, oh, you mean this? And then you're back in the task. You're like, oh!
Yeah.
Wasted it.
Yeah, 30 years is a long time.
Yeah, I want to see the trends.
Okay. All right. Floyd, did you give your answer?
He said,
Yeah,
24. Oh, with your grandson. Yeah.
I'm confused. I don't know.
You're going, wait,
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to spend time with, my grandkids as they're older, but I'm only 50 and my grandkid,
you've got 3 more years.
I'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be there.
Um,
I am in their future.
so you would pick your dad.
I think I would, yeah.
You'd pick 24 hours,
Yeah. Because Dad and I had such a tumultuous relationship
Right.
for such a long period of our life.
24 hours to hear your dad say he doesn't love you.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
rough.
my mom
It's
would
rough.
say,
It's like security.
my mom would shame my decision. What is all this you believe in Jesus will be eternity together, and then you chose to go backwards?
Yeah,
You're not going to see me in heaven. What kind of decisions are you making?
That's fantastic.
Thanks for joining us on You Won't Hate It. I'm Josh.
I'm gonna go in the future. I'm right.
I'm Floyd.
That was definitely the future, Ryan. We all knew.